Okay, we're going to start out by preparing the pork spare ribs. This is about 5 pounds of ribs. We're going to get these ready to smoke. I'm going to show you just how easy it is. And the method I use here is the exact same method I would use if I was cooking any big piece of meat, such as brisket or pork roast. One thing you always want to do with any meat naturally, when you take it out of the wrapper, that is to wash it. Doesn't take much, really, just rinse it off, cool water, shake it out, place it in the pan. And this piece of the rib is what we call a riblet. That also goes in the pan. Okay, what we're going to do next, we're going to take our rib and we're going to put a little dry rub on there. Whatever's your favorite rub, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that you give it a good dose. Don't be afraid to use the rub. Okay? Now this is what we call the lean side up right now. Once you get your lean side up, flip your meat. Go ahead and dry rub your other side. Again, don't be scared to use the rub. And there you go. As with any meat, take a brisket for example, you would always want to cook with your fat side up when you start out. Okay, and that's all there is. That one's ready to go on the... There it is. The old Black Beauty. Believe it or not, that's an old sandblasting pot that we found out in the field 20 plus years ago. And I give the fella $25 for it. And of course, I went and bought the flange down at the bottom at a salvage yard. I think that run me. And of course, my stacking pipe, I think I give $5 for that. So not a whole lot of money went into building this thing, but you sure couldn't build one today for that price. If you look down at the bottom down here, you'll see a vent. What you see, some of these other vents on the side here, these are used to help control the temperature as well as how much smoke you want to put to the meat. Let's go ahead and open this up. Okay. Oh, let's start down at the bottom. Or actually, let me remove this. This is my water pan. It's actually a Dutch oven. Okay. What we have here is the firebox. Okay. If I remove this firebox, there's the propane burner. Okay, so your firebox sits directly on your propane burner. Now if I swing over here underneath the table, here's some well-seasoned hickory, and what I would do is I would just put my hickory in as such. I'm not going to use a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 pieces in today. We're only doing those ribs. I have 3 levels here that I could generally fit at least 6 briskets, 6 good sized briskets. But since we're just doing the ribs today, we won't really use all that much wood. What we will also do is go ahead and slide our Dutch oven, aka water pan, back in. You want to slide that tray back a little bit because when we go to light the fire, you don't want it to be in the way. Let's go ahead and look at a little bit more of the pit. I do have a viewing area up top that I can look in and check on things. Generally, if I'm doing sausage or something like that, I'll put them on that top rack because it makes this easier to get into. Then, here's my gauge. And yes, it is upside down, but since I have to turn around to read it, it works out okay. So you can see right now, even here in the shade, it's a good 90 degrees. Okay, now one addition I had to add on when I moved in here to this house, since it's underneath this porch, I had to do a little compromise on the stack pipe there, so I found me some flexible pipe and added that to keep the smoke from just going right underneath the eave, and it works real well. So we're going to go ahead and fill up our water pan. And while I'm doing this, a word of advice: never ever scrub out your water pan. It's okay to rinse it out, but never ever scrub it out, especially the bottom, because you will develop a pinhole. And once these things start leaking, then you're just going to be out hunting you a new water pan. Okay, these aren't going to be, ribs aren't going to be cooking, but probably for about 4 or 5 hours, so I don't need to fill that pan up all the way. Just means it'll start steaming that much sooner. Oh, we'll just place a match right there. Reach around, turn on the propane. So much for that. Reach in the firebox, center it over it. And that's it. Okay, we do have it turned all the way up to high. Let's go get our meat. Okay, here we go. There's our ribs. Slide them right in there on that tray, out in the middle, and close the door. There we go. Now, in order to build up heat quickly, I want to make sure we shut all of our vents. That way we've got nothing but the fire going on. We'll come back and check the temperature there, in about 30 minutes or so. That's what I like to see. Once again, we started this at about 230. It's now about 250. Oh yeah. And it's working its magic just that quick. Once again, come back over here and look at the temperature, and we're getting pretty close to 200. So at 212, that water starts to boil and produces the steam, which will start accumulating in the pan that the ribs are in. Okay, still smoking. It's now 3:05, so it's been on for about 35 minutes. On our temperature, we're looking about 230 degrees. So we're still putting out a good deal of smoke. Okay, it's 6:30. Okay, you may ask me, how do I know them ribs are done? And I hope you can see this. But I can reach up in there and lift that rib up, and the meat actually starts to separate. But you see that bone? When I can slide that bone like that, just pull it right out of the meat. You know them ribs is done. And they smell good. That is some good looking rib. And if you'll notice, this is why I cook in a pan, because it cooks in the juice. It cooks in the meat's own juice along with the water that is boiled into it. Just makes for a real good tender rib. Let's get these in the house.